British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said he is trying everything possible to strike a new post-Brexit deal with the European Union. Talking about Northern Ireland's trade arrangements, Prime Minister Sunak called it vital to ensure a return to power sharing in the province. Calling Brexit an unfinished business, Rishi Sunak said he would like to complete the job now. According to reports, the announcement of a deal is expected soon as Britain reached an accord with Brussels known as the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is an agreement meant for leaving the European Union. An understanding to avoid politically contentious checks along the 500-kilometre-long border with Ireland, which is a European Union member, to uncomplicate the passage of supplies at the borders as the EU dictates strict food rules at the boundaries, especially for milk and eggs, which arrive from non-EU countries. The land border is a sensitive issue because of Northern Ireland's troubled political history, but the protocol effectively created a border in the Irish Sea for some goods moving from Britain, as it kept Northern Ireland in the European Union's single market for goods. Sunak said he would try to resolve the concerns about the deal expressed by the Democratic Unionist Party, which is worried about the European Union retaining influence over Northern Ireland. Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar told reporters that Britain and the European Union were inching forward in their talks. Sunak said he was hopeful of a positive outcome and would try to finish the work on the protocol by the weekend. In a nod to the DUP, he said the protocol has unbalanced the Good Friday deal signed in 1998 for Northern Ireland's peace process, which went through severely turbulent times in the 1990s. According to reports, Rishi Sunak is confident the deal met all the DUP's conditions, but his party was unhappy that, unlike the rest of the United Kingdom, Northern Ireland would be able to apply some European Union single market legislation.
That the honourable gentleman has put.
For more on this story, we're now joined by Berzeen Wagma, a research fellow at the SOAS South Asia Institute in London. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could just help us understand the challenges that Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces as he tries to push through the Northern Ireland Protocol.
First things first, Neha, the entire question revolves around who governs. Of course, trade looms large, and it is integral to the discussions and the acrimonious debate. But it is a question really which comes down to sovereignty and who governs, because Northern Ireland has been remains in a state of limbo, administrative limbo, since the DUP and the executive at Stormont in Belfast is not sitting as we speak. The local administration provincial administration is in limbo since they walked out because of this aspect. The fact is also 25 years on, we hope to commemorate the Good Friday Agreement later this year. And Prime Minister Sunak hopes to strike something which will not just pacify, but actually be in compliance with what the DUP requires, since the DUP is a kingmaker as per the 2005 St. Andrews Agreement, whose assent is required to anything that has to be settled, even if it's hemmed in with other parties, the Alliance and others. So the question is this: why is Northern Ireland, and currently it still remains out of the Great British Agreement, Great British setup, and subject to EU regulations? That is what the DUP is objecting to vociferously and does not sit in government. Prime Minister Sunak thinks he can shore this over. Prime Minister Johnson, as you know, unilaterally passed the bill before losing office. Rishi Sunak intends to put in place some points which would scrap some of the bureaucracy that has hit the trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, because it is to be considered as a part of Britain, and it is indeed. And that is what the DUP is worried about. Some of Rishi Sunak's supporters say out of 355 Tory MPs, a good 100 would support him on this, and that there are only 30 who would be hardened skeptics who would not. But then there are rumblings in Whitehall, Neha, with others saying that number is a bit too high and a bit too optimistic. Maybe they wouldn't support the Prime Minister. And there are some Tories off the record, Neha, who have also stated that I wouldn't touch this with a barge pole, and why is the Prime Minister doing it just now? Because there are ramifications. With the Ukraine war, we want to have consensus in Europe and with our American partners. President Biden is of Irish heritage and extraction, and it is something quite close to him and to the Irish lobby at large in North America. Then there is also the fact that in Northern Ireland, demographics do not work in our favor because Catholics do outnumber Protestants now. But the Unionists, in principle, and quite rightly so, want to be a part of Great Britain because that is the United Kingdom. They don't wish to be part of the Irish Republic, and they have every right to maintain that, historically speaking. So it's these wheels within wheels, and it's a question of satisfying all or satisfying none. And maybe there would be a halfway house which would not appease anyone. But whatever would be agreed in Brussels, the DUP has to be brought in for its assent. It is vital for the administration to be on its feet again in Belfast. And they would not accept any half-baked measures.
Mr. Wagmore, thank you so much for putting this into perspective for us and giving us that detailed analysis of a rather complex issue. Thanks very much for speaking to WION.
Thank you.